Hey Giants, it's Mrs. Wood, and I am here today with Kittinun from VCU, who is our rep from VCU, and he's going to talk to you guys about all the awesome things going on there. So I'm going to hand it over to him.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick for the short presentation. There we go. Okay. So good morning, everybody. My name is Kittinun. I'm a missions counselor here at Virginia Commonwealth University. So this short presentation is pretty much going with a nice overview about VCU, about the missions process and application process, and a little bit about Richmond and Virginia in general. Just to start off, for just like a general knowledge about VCU, we are a large research institution, and we are located right in downtown Richmond. We actually have two campuses here in downtown Richmond. We have our Monroe Park campus and our MCV campus. Our MCV campus houses all of our health professional programs. So if there's any students there that are interested in the health professional field, like going to medical school, nursing school, doing pharmacy, dentistry, anything that we offer in the health professional field, that house at that MCV campus. Our Monroe Park campus is our main campus overall for the majority of our students here at VCU. So it houses everything from like engineering to business to arts to the natural and social sciences, or like a school education, government, all those programs are housed on that Monroe Park campus. So that's the main campus for the majority of our students here at VCU. Like I mentioned, we are located in downtown Richmond. So that brings a lot of opportunities for students being located within the city of Richmond. So just going into a little bit about the city of Richmond, there's a lot of opportunities we provide for students, and that is coming in from different areas, either it's in experiential learning opportunities for students or for opportunities for students in recreational opportunities. So depending on what you're looking to do, there's a lot of variety that we do provide for students in general. So there's a lot of different type of experiential learning opportunities for students being located within the city of Richmond. So if you're looking to be involved in getting experience in the healthcare community, we have our MCV hospital here at VCU, but we also have connections with the entire Greater Richmond Hospital Network as well. So about 13 different hospitals. So you're looking to like shadow, volunteer, or do like internships within the healthcare community. There's a lot of opportunities for those chances for students to do. We also have connections with the local and state government. Us being located in Richmond, which is the capital of the state, we have access to that state government. So you're interested in like getting into policy work, government, politics, anything like that. There's those types of opportunities that we provide for students as well in those experiential learning opportunities. So there are a wide variety of things that you can take advantage of in gaining that experiential learning before you actually graduate. So getting a lot of workforce experience before you actually graduate in those types of internships or volunteer opportunities for service learning projects or from research that are located here in the city of Richmond. But we have also a lot of recreation opportunities as well for students. So if you're looking to take advantage of being in an urban environment, we have a lot of events that happen throughout the year normally. This year is a little bit different because of what's going on with COVID, but we normally have a lot of events that usually happen throughout the city of Richmond. Different concerts that are happening, Broadway shows, orchestras, comedians coming in. There's usually a lot of festivals that happen within the city of Richmond as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening overall in that urban side of the city of Richmond. But we also have a nice nature side as well for the James River flowing within the city. So if you're looking to take advantage of having a nice mixture of both urban and a nice mixture of nature as well, we have a lot of green spaces here in the city, from Belle Isle to Brown Island, Maymont Park, Bird Park, our Monroe Park. So there's a lot of different types of areas for students to take advantage of being on urban and nature side. We're also centrally located within the state, so we're about 2 hours away from everything. So you want to go to the beach is 2 hours away, you want to go to the mountains is 2 hours away. DC or North Carolina is about 2 hours away as well. Specifically from Waynesboro, we're about, I believe it's about an hour and a half from Waynesboro, hour 15, depending on what's going on with 64, but it's usually around that range for that distance to get over to Waynesboro. So we're not that far away from your home as well. So if you wanted to go back home and visit family, is that easy of access to get there. Going more into VCU, like I mentioned, we are a large research institution, so we have a large amount of students coming to VCU. So we're about 30,000 students in total. That's including graduates, undergraduates, and profession-seeking students. Our undergraduate population is about 24,000 students, and usually the biggest question I get from students after saying those large numbers is how large your class size is going to be. Because when you're thinking of like 30,000 or 24,000, you're probably not thinking of a small classroom. We actually have an average class size around 27, so maybe what you guys are used to in high school right now. We do have larger classrooms here at VCU, but those tend to be classes that are either general education related or introductory courses for your program. So pretty much courses that everybody has to take to graduate, or courses that students have to take before they go into the upper level of their program. So those courses tend to be on the larger side, but after those classes, you can run an average 27, if not smaller, because depending on the type of program you're going into, if it's not as popular, classroom can be a lot smaller than average 27. If it's more popular, it's going to be around an average 27 for those average class sizes. We also have a lot of opportunities for students to interact with our faculty members and have access to professors. So if you're worried about not being able to have that access, that one-on-one access to those faculty members, we have enough faculty members to help support our entire student population. So what you're seeing on the PowerPoint right now, we have a student faculty ratio of 18:1. So we have enough faculty members overall to help support our students. So if you look for that one-on-one help, they're very accessible for students. They of course have their office hours, but they're also very flexible, meaning students outside those hours if those hours don't work for you. We really work as a partnership with our students, so we're trying to provide the opportunities to get that help they need. As long as you're putting in the effort to get that support from them, they're going to be putting the effort to help you as a student as well. Going into more of the deadlines and like application and like the review process for VCU, for the two main deadlines to look out for the application process, we have our November 1st deadline and our January 15th deadline. November 1st is our scholarship consideration deadline for our big 3 scholarships. So our presidential, provost, and deans. So you're trying to be considered for those big 3 scholarships. You just have to apply to us by that date and make sure you have a complete application turned into us by that date. So what that means is submitting your common application and making sure you're having your official transcript submitted into us and at least one recommendation letter submitted into us by that date. As long as you do that, you're automatically considered for those 3 scholarships and then any other scholarships that we have. If you apply after that date, that doesn't mean you're not going to be considered for scholarships. You just can't be considered for those big 3 scholarships I just mentioned. We have other scholarships that we offer, but they're just not as large as those 3 specifically. So you can still be considered for scholarships even if you do apply after November 1st. And again, just make sure you have a complete application submitted into us so that way we can review you for those scholarships as well. But the next deadline that we're looking out for is January 15th. That's our priority deadline date. So as long as you apply to us by January 15th, the absolute latest you hear back from us will be April 1st. Now, regarding decisions, you could definitely hear back sooner than April 1st. That's just going to be the absolute latest you hear back from us as long as you apply to us by January 15th. Overall, we review students on a rolling admissions basis. So as you submit your application and submit your documentation into us, once everything is turned in and we finish reviewing your application, a decision will go out right afterwards. So that's how our review process works. So you can definitely hear back way sooner than April 1st, but the absolute latest you hear back will be that April 1st date if you apply by January 15th. For financial aid priority here at VCU, that deadline is February 1st. So making sure you have your FAFSA submitted into us by February 1st. I normally recommend students filling it out as early as possible and getting it sent to all schools that you're trying to consider for. So that way you don't have to worry about it in the future. And that way that information is just submitted to the schools you're trying to apply for. As for the application process, like I mentioned, you apply through the common application. So you do submit the common application. We do require the common app essay. There's no specific prompt or essay to require for the common essays. It's going to depend on what you want to write and share with us. So overall, it's just going to be submitting that common app, getting that essay filled out in the application, and then submitting it to us. That's the only essay that we require. Once you submit the application, we do require official transcripts to be submitted into us, and then at least having that one recommendation there. And that could be from like a teacher, a coach, counselor, employer, anything like that. And it can only be a maximum of 3 recommenders for here at VCU. As for how we review students for admissions, we review students holistically. So what that means is that we take into account the entirety of that review of your application in that review process. So it's not just the academic side, it's also your extracurriculars, your essays, your recommendation letters. If you're doing like volunteer work, if you're doing research, all that gets factored in alongside that academic side. So we're not just looking at like the final numbers of like your GPA or like a test score and making a decision, that's it. We're looking at the entirety of your application and making a decision on admissions through the information you provide for us. So normally for academics, we recommend students fall within the last incoming class's middle 50% range, and that's the numbers that you're seeing on this PowerPoint right now. So for GPA, that's a 3.35 to a 4.02. We do look at weighted GPA. So if you have like a AP course, IB course, honors, dual enrollment, anything like that, we do account for that weighted GPA. And then for test scores, we do super score for the SAT, but we don't super score for the ACT. And then for the middle 50% for SAT is a 1080 to 1270. The middle 50% for the ACT, though, is not listed on here, is a 22 to 27 composite score. Something to note from this upcoming year, we don't require test scores for the review process for merit-based scholarships or for admissions into VCU. So no program is requiring test scores except for one program, and that is our guaranteed admissions program through the Honors College. That's the only program that requires test scores to go alongside your application. Everything else does not require test scores. So if you're trying to apply for VCU for admissions, for any program, for any specific major, or for scholarship consideration, or for general honors. And then, so again, like the guaranteed admissions program for honors is the only one that requires test scores, but everything else does not require test scores. You can still submit test scores if you want us to make use of it in that holistic review process, but you're not required to have test scores to apply. So that's kind of just a brief information session going over like our pretty much about VCU and about like the admission process and the application process and a little bit about Richmond itself. Yeah, that's our main points of contact. So if you have any questions after today or after you finish watching this video, feel free to give us a phone call or shoot us an email or go to our website. It's also a very good reference point as well. And I will be happy to answer any questions you have after today. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you talk a little bit about the guaranteed admissions honors program?
So the guaranteed admissions program through the Honors College is a program that students can apply for, and it will guarantee you a seat into one of the health professional schools, the one that you're specifically applying for. So that can be like VCU's medical school, VCU's dentistry school, pharmacy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, nursing. Anything that we offer in the health professional field has a guaranteed application for it. So if a student applies for that guaranteed admissions program and get admitted to it through the honors program, they'll get that guaranteed spot for that health professional school.
Can you talk about the engineering school a little bit too?
So for our College of Engineering, we offer 6 different fields in the College of Engineering. There is biomedical engineering, mechanical, chemical, electrical, computer engineering, computer science, and nuclear engineering. So those are the programs that we have underneath of the College of Engineering. What's nice about our engineering programs that we do provide a lot of opportunities for students to get a lot of hands-on experience. So there's a lot of equipment that is provided for students through that program that allows the students to get a lot of the hands-on work and a lot of opportunities to play around with all the different types of toys and gadgets that we have within the College of Engineering. If you don't know what specific type of engineering program you want to go into, we do have an undeclared engineering, which will allow you to kind of explore the different types of engineering programs that we have before declaring a major in engineering. So that is an option for students to kind of feel around the different kinds of engineering programs. They normally recommend kind of having an idea of like where you want to go into, just because that engineering in general has a lot of credits that go into it. But there's a lot of types of programs there's a lot of variety that we offer in that engineering field, and it's a lot of hands-on experience overall. And that either goes through like the program itself or through like the student organizations that we have or the research opportunities that we have within the College of Engineering.
Thank you. Can you also talk about the School of the Arts and the application process for that?
Okay. For the School of the Arts, the difference between the application process for the School of the Arts is that they have additional components. So you're still going through the common application, you're still submitting transcripts, having a recommendation letter, all that's still the same process. The only thing different for like the recommender for them is they do require at least one art teacher to be a recommender for that. And then for the additional components they require, if it's a student trying to go into the visual arts program, so like if you're trying to go into like painting, graphic design, or anything like that that involves like the visual medium, that requires an art portfolio to go alongside your application, and that's about 12 to 16 different works of art. A great reference to go to is our School of the Arts, because they do have their own admissions team, and they can also kind of give feedback in advance. So if you want to bring up a portfolio or bring up a piece of like a piece in advance and kind of get a feedback from them before submitting an application, they're a great reference point to go to. If a student is trying to go into a performing arts, they require an audition process to go alongside that application process. So for that, they'll normally send out a notification for like dates to register for auditions. The portfolios are normally due the same dates, same deadline dates that we have. So if you're trying to go for that scholarship deadline, you still have to have like the entire application, including that art portfolio by November 1st, or if it's the January 15th deadline, having it submitted into us by January 15th.
VCU is one of the top public art schools in the country, guys. So make sure if you're interested in that, you're checking it out. Okay, and also about scholarships, I think you kind of touched on this, but to be eligible for scholarships, it's just part of the application. I understand that to be eligible for the big three, you have to apply by November 1st, but just to be eligible for scholarships, is that part of the regular application, or is there a separate application for that?
There's no separate application. So for anything that's applying to VCU, scholarship consideration, applying for like a program, anything like that, there's no separate application. It's all through the Common App. The only program that has a separate application is the Honors College. So they're the only ones that have a separate application that goes through their website. But as long as a student is applying to VCU through the Common App and is having a complete application submitted into us, they'll be considered for any eligible merit-based scholarships that we can award them. And then if a student is trying to be considered for those big three scholarships specifically, they just have to make sure you have a complete application by November 1st to be for that consideration. That's right. The only one. Those big three are the only ones that have like a deadline date. The other ones we award as students apply and are getting admitted into VCU.
Great. Okay. Shakayla, do you have any questions? You can put them in the chat, or you don't have to, but all right, Kittinun, I think that I'm going to post this. If we find any other additional questions, I will be, we can stop them.